This portion of East Side, West Side, presented by Unguentine Aerofilm, new emergency first aid spray that helps protect sunburned skin while it heals. New Unguentine Aerofilm.
3 popular sunscreens have failed tests carried out with a consumer organisation which to test their effectiveness. It spot-checked 26 different lotions and said while many did live up to the promises made on the bottle, not all of them offered protection that they claimed.
Some people have concerns that the nanoparticles in the sunscreen could be a health risk.
We were trying to determine whether or not the nanoparticles that are in the sunscreen penetrate the skin and then finish up in blood and urine or get into the body.
Do you really want to use sunscreen?
But before you slather on the sunblock, you may want to consider what's in it. Environmental Working Group's latest report found that out of more than 2,200 SPF products tested, only about a quarter were deemed safe and effective options. But EWG's standards are not the same as the FDA.
They told you sunscreen would protect you, that it was your shield against cancer, aging, and the burning sun. But here's what they didn't tell you. Over the last 40 years, sunscreen sales have exploded in the U.S., and so have rates of skin cancer. Coincidence? Maybe. But today we're diving deep into research, cover-ups, and billion-dollar industries that don't want you to know the truth. Hi, I'm Aizen, and on this channel we explore health truths that mainstream media rarely touches. Today, we'll uncover how sunscreen might be doing more harm than good. This isn't just my opinion. We're pulling directly from the work of Dr. Michael Holick, author of The Vitamin D Solution, along with peer-reviewed studies, hidden FDA documents, and some shocking corporate lobbying history. Let's start with a simple fact. Your body creates vitamin D when exposed to sunlight. It's essential for bone health, immune function, hormone balance, and even cancer prevention. But here's the kicker. An SPF 30 sunscreen blocks up to 97% of UVB rays, the very ones your skin needs to produce vitamin D. That's like turning off the body's natural pharmacy.
Don't let me die! Somebody help! Don't let me die, Butters!
Dr. Holick, who spent decades studying vitamin D at Boston University, warns that widespread sunscreen use is a major contributor to what he calls a silent epidemic of vitamin D deficiency. And the consequences? Increased risks of breast cancer, prostate cancer, type 1 diabetes, autoimmune diseases, and yes, skin cancer. You might be thinking, but doesn't sunscreen prevent skin cancer? That's what Big Pharma and Big Cosmetica want you to believe. In fact, the Journal of the National Cancer Institute published a meta-analysis showing that sunscreen use has not significantly reduced rates of melanoma. Meanwhile, vitamin D deficiency has skyrocketed, especially among people who work indoors, live in northern states, or follow dermatologists' advice to avoid the sun altogether. Let's talk money. In 2023, the global sunscreen market was worth over $13 billion. Brands like Neutrogena, owned by Johnson & Johnson, and Coppertone have a huge stake in keeping you afraid of the sun. And the FDA, it still hasn't fully approved or banned toxic ingredients like oxybenzone, even though it's linked to hormone disruption and is banned in places like Hawaii for damaging coral reefs. Here's where it gets darker. Dr. Elizabeth Plord, author of Sunscreen's Biohazard, argues that many commercial sunscreens contain nano-ingredients that penetrate the skin, enter the bloodstream, and wreak havoc on the endocrine system. She links these to rising infertility rates and developmental disorders. But don't expect the CDC or major news outlets to cover this. Real people are paying the price. A 2022 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology found that 80% of Americans are vitamin D deficient. In Black and brown communities, the rate is even higher due to higher melanin, which naturally reduces vitamin D synthesis. And yet, public health messages still push full sunscreen coverage over balanced, sensible sun exposure. So what should you do? Here's what Dr. Holick and others recommend. Get 10 to 20 minutes of sun on arms and legs around midday. Skip sunscreen during this time, unless you'll be out longer. Supplement with vitamin D3 during winter months. Avoid sunscreens with oxybenzone or avobenzone. Look for mineral-based options like zinc oxide, or create your own. Here is one of the recipes that can be found on the internet. Half a cup of coconut oil, half a cup of grass-fed beef tallow, 2 tablespoons of beeswax, a quarter cup of non-nano zinc oxide. This blend aims to provide sun protection while avoiding synthetic chemicals. Here's the truth. The sun is not your enemy. Fear is. A fear sold to you by billion-dollar corporations that profit from your sickness and confusion. By understanding the full picture, you gain control over your own health. This isn't about throwing away sunscreen. It's about waking up. Now let's go deeper. Remember when oxybenzone was allowed in nearly every over-the-counter sunscreen? It's still there in many products today, despite studies like the one from the Environmental Working Group that showed it can be absorbed through the skin and linger in your blood for days. In fact, FDA testing found blood concentrations exceeding safety thresholds, and yet no regulation change. And it's not just one ingredient. Avobenzone breaks down in the sun unless stabilized by other chemicals. Octinoxate, that's been shown to disrupt thyroid hormone production in animal studies. And when these ingredients mix with chlorine in pools or seawater, they form toxic byproducts. Still think these lotions are harmless. Here's something that rarely gets mentioned. The rise in sunscreen use directly correlates with the rise in indoor lifestyles. We're inside all day, glued to screens. Then when we finally go out, we're told to lather up, cover up, and avoid the sun like it's a villain. That mindset alone is a health disaster. Sunlight affects circadian rhythm, serotonin production, even eye health. Take a look at the blue zones, areas of the world where people live the longest. Sardinia, Okinawa, Nicoya. People live outdoors, farm, walk under the sun. Their skin ages, yes, but their disease rates are lower. It's not sun they're afraid of. It's over-medicalization they avoid. Maybe we should learn something here. Even celebrities have begun to question sunscreen dogma. Joe Rogan hosted several episodes where experts talked about the dangers of vitamin D deficiency.
Not all sunscreens are safe. Not all cosmetic lotions are safe. Not all cosmetics are safe.
Paul Saladino, the carnivore MD, shares homemade tallow-based sunscreen recipes with natural zinc oxide. Meanwhile, Big Cosmetica keeps selling SPF 100 as if that's the solution to your health problems. Let's bring this home. You're not crazy for questioning what you've been told. The mainstream narrative exists to protect profit, not necessarily your well-being. When billion-dollar industries like pharmaceuticals and cosmetics join forces with federal agencies, the line between science and marketing becomes dangerously thin. In 2019, the FDA finally admitted it lacked enough safety data to declare 12 common sunscreen ingredients safe. That's after decades of use. Meanwhile, researchers at the University of Copenhagen found links between sunscreen chemicals and male infertility. And still, no ban, no warning label. Just silence. So, what's the alternative? Educate yourself. Be skeptical of blanket statements like, the sun causes cancer. It's not that simple. Ask better questions. Are you vitamin D deficient? Do you get daily sunlight? What's really in that bottle you're rubbing on your child's skin? The sun gives life. It gives energy. And yes, it must be respected, but not feared blindly. Balanced exposure, mindful supplementation, and awareness of product ingredients, that's real self-care. Not just trusting a label because it says dermatologist recommended. And here's my final thought. The path to better health isn't found in fear-based marketing. It's found in reconnecting with what your body was designed for: light, movement, natural rhythms. We've been taught to outsource our safety. It's time to bring that power back home. If this video resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to a friend, your parents, someone who still thinks the sun is their enemy, because sometimes the truth burns, but in the best way possible. We're building a community of free thinkers who question, learn, and break free from the system. If this video sparks something in you, help us make this community even stronger. Subscribe and be part of a movement that pushes for real change.